Hello. It's Tuesday. We're going to talk about wrestling. There's a lot of wrestling, Joel.
It's too much wrestling, Tim.
Yeah.
It's almost too much for me to handle.
That's definitely too much for me to handle. I just like straight up watched 5 programs in a row because I was a little bit behind this week. I was watching some stuff live, but like not much. So, whoa, that's where my brain is at. It's 5 wrestling programs in a row this week. That is my brain.
Your brain on wrestling is like my brain all day long, and your brains should be liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. What the heck is wrong with you? We appreciate you though, if you do come around. So do we really have to get into it? Do we have to, Tim? Do we have to talk about wrestling? Are there other things we can talk about? How's the weather? Gloomy?
It's pretty gloomy today. I went for a little walk. It was fine.
Me too. It's nice.
There's a Tim Hortons on the walk, so that part's not great, but
We've got our friend Caleb saying he's at the finish the end of Raw about an hour ago. He's sick of Adnan. Yeah, we'll get there in a second. So I guess we got to talk about it.
Adnan.
We'll get through it with Adnan Verk or Adnan Vink, depending on who you listen to at the end of the day.
What?
People still call him Adnan Vink, and I don't get it. I really don't.
Is it because they're reading a calligraphized version of his name? Like, what is going on?
I'm assuming the education system has let everyone down. But you know what's not going to let me down, Tim? The return of Eva Marie. That won't let anyone down.
No, I think it'll be as expected, most likely. No?
Months and months of speculation, of discussion, of backstage reports, since October. And these vignettes had already been shot. And now we're back. Is it all red everything? Is it little red Corvette? I mean, that was a Ferrari she was on top of. But what are we expecting here with Eva Marie? Tell me about what you know about Eva Marie, Mr. New Fan.
Like 0? Oh, God, I did that. Anyway, 0.
Don't do it.
Yeah, whatever. Nothing. I don't know who she is. Like, I know people dislike her. But wrestling nerds dislike everything, so I can't put a whole lot of weight on that. Her vignette, her pre-recorded promo, to me felt a touch wooden.
That's actually pretty spot on. She was never one for the most straightforward delivery, the most normal, personable individual. She never came off that way. You're not too far off. And I put up a poll earlier on my Twitter earlier in the day, and I had a vote. I said, hey, should Tim and I do a retrospective on Eva Marie's career now that she's come back? And like, of all the votes, it was mostly yes. There were not enough people who said no. So we might watch a few videos and talk a little bit about it.
I saw that survey you put together, and I don't know that it had passed the mustard, but
couldn't tell you. I just put together surveys and let them out into the world.
Might have been leading things in a certain direction, but anyway.
I would never. I am a journalistic, integrity-filled human being.
All right, cool.
Did not go to journalism for that.
That's good, because last I checked, polls weren't really a thing in journalism. They are a thing in journalism, but aren't journalism.
Good point. So Eva Marie comes back, and of course some of the people on Twitter start with the whole, like, they released the Iconics, they released Eva Marie's back, they released Mickie James, they released this and they released that, only to bring back Eva Marie. Honestly, if I'm WWE, I lean into that because she had nothing to do with the release of any of the people before her.
Yeah,
I want to see Eva Marie be the most obnoxious human being she can and be like, I'm here to save the women's division. I am so useless to everybody else but the women's division that I'm going to save. I want her to be tone deaf.
Yeah, I mean, that could work. Like, it feels like there's a bunch of the same kind of character right now, though. Like, you've got Carmella and you've got Frankie Monet. Like, is it just one per brand? We get a fancy lady?
But the reality is that Frankie Monet actually she's not going to save the women's division, but she's an excellent wrestler who is going to come in and bring up the women's division. She's going to elevate her role and the division itself.
No doubt.
That's her MO. Then you've got Eva Marie, who, as we know, when she left WWE the first time, didn't exactly leave with like hot matches under her belt and a bunch of people clamoring for her return. So I want to see her come back, say that she's going to do all this amazing stuff. She's going to turn around the division that's already been turned around but needs to be turned around again, and actually not do it, and instead garner so much heat because she thinks she is God's gift to the women's division.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, like we need some people to squash so that they can build up the other women on the card. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know. It's just such a weird character. Like, vain lady is not. There's not a lot there, right? Like, you need more depth than that to create something long lasting. So, I assume they'll add something to her character. There's a lot of good women on Raw right now, so maybe they can. There's a lot of room. There's a lot of potential for her to come in and be a part of something interesting. You have Alexa Bliss, who isn't doing anything right now other than like the vignettes. Like, she hasn't done anything. We're not leading towards anything in ring, which is odd. You've got Dana and Mandy, who are stuck in the back and forth, getting squashed by the tag champs. Like.
But we need those squashes. I need more squashes.
Yeah,
I need more building of talent, right? So Eva Marie coming in, listen, she was all red everything once upon a time, where she had her red hair and she was, decked out in red, and that was her gimmick. I don't know.
That's the gimmick, just all red everything.
That was the gimmick. It was all red. Her hair was red, and it stemmed from a gimmick in Total Divas where the Bellas were already red-haired, they were all red, and then they made her change her hair. It was basically something that led to her changing her hairstyle. Maybe it was brunette. Either way, regardless, she changed her hair to red as a means to differentiate herself from the rest of the women on the roster.
I mean,
she became all red.
That would be really good. They just got to sign Black Taurus,
I don't think that'll happen anytime
soon. Do it!
He's
it's
on
a good
the wrong
bit.
part of the ledger. Now, with All Red Everything, this kind of brings me into Lily. Last night, the Lily and Alexa Bliss gimmick was that Lily was targeting things that were red. Charlotte was wearing red gear. Sonya Deville was wearing a red suit. And you had Angel Garza with a red rose. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then we had formerly All Red Everything, Eva Marie in a red car. First of all, I really wish Lily had popped up in that car scene, like behind the car. Just because, but obviously they were filmed a long time ago.
Yeah, but you could just crudely edit it in like they've been doing with everything Lily based.
So good. Should have done it. Would have loved it. You think Alexa Bliss is going to target Ms. Eva Marie, or do you think that there's another person?
Yeah, I saw some people mumbling about that. I don't know, because look, there's a couple ways that this could go. Like, I know Alexa said red is her favorite color, which if it's actually a thing, great little bit of writing, a subtle placement. Obviously, the main thing of that is she likes blood, right? Because she's a violent little doll and horror movie tropes, etc. But maybe it is referring to this feud that she's going to have with Eva Marie when she gets here. And maybe it's just a great little bit of subtext that they put in. But I've seen WWE do stuff like that, and it's completely accidental, and it doesn't end up meaning anything. So it could just be blood's red, and she's a violent little doll, so her favorite color is red. And it's all just coincidence, because people wear red a lot in WWE, right? There aren't that many bold, striking colors.
That's very true. You're either wearing that, or you're wearing blush, or some form of very muted blues. I get it. Nobody stands out so far.
Yeah,
but there was a lot of red on last night's show.
There was, and that does seem it does seem a little bit more than coincidental given the amount of it. So here's hoping.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good little touch.
We're going to find out, because, we saw Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair in the ring, and, Charlotte defeats Dana Brooke, and the match was whatever it was. Listen,
fine.
Everyone telling me that Dana Brooke is great and continues to get better. I'm not there yet.
She's fine. She's not terrible. She's not great.
She's not great. And I'm not gonna shit on the work. I'm just gonna say that I wish people would stop trying to promote someone as being something that they're not entirely yet.
Yeah.
Can she be amazing? Yeah. Can she great? Can she be great? Yeah, absolutely. Is she there yet? Not yet. Not yet. That's my feeling towards Dana Brooke. Anyway, we have the match. Charlotte defeats Dana Brooke, and then Sonya adds Charlotte Flair to the triple threat, which to me is hilarious. By the way, first of all, we find out on socials before Raw goes live that it's going to be Asuka and Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. We've seen this before, haven't we? Mm-hmm. And then we find out that we're going to do the triple threat with Charlotte Flair. It gives me that WrestleMania 35 vibe where Vince McMahon comes out and says, "We need Charlotte Flair."
I love it.
Comes Charlotte.
I don't even care. I thought that's great. You know what? Because it works on a few levels. It's whatever. Charlotte needs something to do. Like, what? You're not going to build anything. You don't have. There's no idea for this right now. So just make a multi-person match. I don't care. The fact that Pierce got mad about it is what makes this like a good story now, because now there's at least something going on, even though the women's match itself doesn't really have a story other than Charlotte is the best, right? Like that's not enough story for me. But they don't have a story in mind and they just want to put the title up. I don't care. There's already a triple threat, which is also like, why would you do this? We already have this. You made another match with the same stipulation. I'm mad at you, says Adam Pearce, right?
And the way that they got into it and out of it at the same time was having Sonya say, well, the men are doing it and we believe in equality. So maybe we can have both of you guys doing a triple threat, because that's not lazy booking, right? If we use the gender thing, right, guys, right? It was very weak. I didn't like that.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like, I don't, you know what? Make every match on Backlash a multi-person match. I don't care. Like,
they've done that. They've done that, and I don't want to see it again.
Do it. I don't care. Get everyone paid.
Now, my question to you becomes like, this is Charlotte's most heelish version of herself, probably ever.
Yeah, maximum heel.
Is this the actual time when you think putting the title on Charlotte this quickly and this emphatically would be good for Charlotte Flair and good for the women's division? Where do you think?
No, I would be annoyed by it. I'm sick of watching her carry that title, honestly. Like, we're gonna have to watch her wrestle probably on like 3 shows if she does somehow. I know they're separate titles, but they'll find a bloody way at this point. Like, I don't know. It was nice hearing Asuka come out and say it's bullcrap.
Yeah, and then being told to watch her mouth for some reason.
I know, it was so weird.
I like it. You know, while she's being called, Charlotte's called a little crybaby, and next thing you know, we're still doing the match. But they come to the curtain, and Adam Pearce confronts Sonya Deville, and he's pissed again, right?
Yeah.
And Sonya plays the "I tried to text you" game. And I don't know about
the servers in here aren't okay. It's not whatever.
Have you ever tried to prove your point in the matter by pulling out your phone and being like, "See, I tried," and it's still spinning. The little wheel is trying to send the message. I would have just been like, "Show me your phone. Let's see it."
Yeah, there's an unethical life pro tip from Reddit where it's just like, yeah, just flip it onto airplane mode, try to send it, and then just before you go.
Unethical life pro tips are how I live my life.
Yeah.
So we're trying to build other 3-ways, including the triple threat between Drew, Braun Strowman, and Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. So the build is basically, hey, we got a 3-way at the pay-per-view, so let's put everyone in a singles match in every configuration,
every permutation that they can. They will do. There'll be a 6-man tag at some point. There'll be a tag at some point.
And a coin toss. We got a coin toss.
We got a coin toss. That one's novel to me.
That felt like someone from creative at the end of the, like, just before they went live was just like, hey, watch me slip this line in here. And they're just like, we're going to do it by a coin toss, because at one point in a creative meeting, Vince McMahon was like, I don't know who to put him together, but do a coin toss.
Or maybe just somebody watched AEW on Wednesday.
That's right. No, because the problem was they said, we don't need no freaking coin toss. We'll give you the advantage.
Maybe that's how they were going to one-up Dynamite. They're like, oh, they only teased a coin toss. We're going to give you a coin toss right here tonight. Coin toss.
Fired. I liked the match where Drew is sitting at commentary, does not cause a disqualification. I was surprised by that. Very good.
Honestly, that Claymore's a thing of beauty. When he throws that, it looks so good. Like, it really looks like he's just booting the ever-loving shit out of someone's skull. It's great. I love it. I love him. He's great.
Do you know the story behind the Claymore?
I think I heard him talk about the evolution of it at one point, but not really, no.
Yeah, basically it was supposed to be a big boot, but because he was with 3-man band at one point, he was wearing tight pants, and if he threw up a big boot, it's gonna rip his pants. So he just eats into the Claymore, and it landed the way he did.
It's much better than some boring ass big boot.
Yeah. And by the way, being on Adnan Verkwatch, promo class question was asked. Where he asked Drew McIntyre, who has his book coming out today, says, you had to participate in promo class with Vince McMahon. What do you think about that? And I mean, Drew's like, he answers it like a professional. But at the back of my head, I'm just like, were you fed this line, or did you think it would be a good idea to say it? Because either way, not good.
My immersion.
Man.
Yeah, it's weird. They just love breaking the fourth wall. I don't get it. It is what it is. I bet he was fed that line. That feels like, because they've been promoting his book like crazy on social, and they're all doing it in different ways. So I feel like he was fed that.
Yeah, it was just very strange. And we'll just move on to the U.S. Open Challenge. And Mansoor debuted. We had Mansoor, who, by the way, was 49-0.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this.
I did know that, yeah.
Most people who watch Raw are probably not watching Main Event and 205 Live, but he's been winning silently on those shows for months. And by the way, he debuts on the main roster, and he loses because of a disqualification, because that's just what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It was fine. I would like to have seen him wrestle a bit more.
If I'm Mansoor, what I would be pissed at Humberto Carrillo because he cost him the 49 match win streak. I would say, hey man, this was my opportunity and you took it from me. Have Mansoor and Humberto have a match together. Have that be a decision for number one contendership for the U.S. title, and whoever wins that goes and faces Sheamus.
Or hear me out. Triple threat for the U.S. title. Mansoor, Humberto, and Sheamus.
God, just call it WrestleMania Backlash Triple Threat on Peacock or the award-winning WWE Network internationally.
That's fine. Yours is actually a good idea. That would be great. And we get to have a match that isn't total pointless bullshit on a Raw.
That's right, assuming Sheamus doesn't come out and DQ himself and make it a triple threat. God damn it! Ruined it. But you know what wasn't ruined? Well, actually, what kind of was ruined? Drew Gulak's butt.
Yeah, ruined that butt. You know what? I had it typed out as a tweet. I was like, do it, I dare you. When he first said it, and then they did it, and I didn't tweet it because but it was. Oh man, that was very satisfying. That's a great gimmick. Make that his a whole entire gimmick, because I hated that rose. I thought that was the dumbest thing, and they actually did something pretty good with it. I don't care.
There was follow through. I'm all for follow through. Literally and figuratively.
Just saying, a rose for every ass is a great tagline. Throw it on a t-shirt.
I want to just call it rose butt.
Okay? Rose butt.
Just call it Rosebud. Call me.
And then later on, he can do a Citizen Kane spoof, insulting one of his opponents.
You're being told you should have tweeted it, you coward.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying it now. Good enough. Also, good enough is the return of Omos and AJ Styles. They come back and they retain their Raw Tag Team Championships. Sure, why not? You know what? For people who are jumping down the throats of WWE saying there are no tag teams, I'm going to tell you right now, there are plenty of tag teams now. Omos and AJ are the champs, yes. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston making up New Day, sure. We've also got RK Bro. Then you also have Viking Raiders, Lucha House Party, Miz and Morrison. Who just got to win
and have some credibility again.
That's right. Miz and Morrison are technically a tag team, at least for now. Mason T-Bar, who will probably factor into the main event at that.
No. Extinction. Let's just get used to it. They're going to call themselves Extinction.
That's true. I wouldn't doubt it. And then Elias and Jackson Racist. Riker. You got those guys.
It's a shame he's a sack of shit. He looked pretty giddy throwing those tomatoes this week.
He missed it completely.
Well, camera didn't catch it. So
you know what?
He just looked happy.
Tag match was fine. Omos looks strong. That's what he's going to do. Someone's got to step up to them. And as long as it's not RK Bro, I'm happy. I would rather it be Viking Raiders. Viking Raiders, Omos and AJ. That'd be funny.
That would be funny.
I'd like to see Omos try and figure out what is so Viking about the Viking Raiders.
Yeah. Yeah, him just being a little bit befuddled about them, like, and them, like, they're agile big men, right? So that the two of them try, like, stacking on top of each other to try to get Amos, like, and there's a lot of potential there. I think they could do something really, really good with that, right? But,
Tim, Viking Raiders trying to give Omos a turkey leg. Just that's what I want out of my professional wrestling. And Omos being like, "Oh, this is delicious. Thank you so much. I love it."
Wait, okay. Let me ask you something. What was the general? Because we started doing this when they were doing the Viking Raiders, and the Street Profits, their feud. Like, I enjoyed all of that. What is the general consensus with other people that you have seen? Is it hate or enjoyment?
Viking Raiders?
The Viking Raiders Street Profit thing. They're like one-upsman crap every week. Vignettes.
People hated it in the moment. They look back at it a little bit more fondly. The problem with the Viking Raiders has always been they came as a dominant tag team from New Japan and Ring of Honor, and then came to NXT. Were still dominant tag team.
Yeah, they were great in NXT. Came to Raw.
Right, and then when they left NXT and had to become actual characters, if you will, on the Raw scape of things. And then they called them the Viking Experience. And that week 1, people were like, oh, shit. And then they changed it to Viking Raiders, and that appeased people. But still, Vikings, it was still a little strange.
That's the thing. They wrote themselves into a difficult position going on to something like Raw. You chose a Viking as your character. You're stuck with what you're stuck with. Like, they are very, very good, and they were excellent. But it is kind of a, like house show kind of gimmick, right? Like, it's not something you can stick easily into a narrative. So
you can, but you just have to not be so extreme about it. If you're like having Viking tendencies are one thing, being like full on Vikings, yo ho ho, you don't have to lean so far into every gimmick. And that's the problem that we have with almost everyone we're looking at on this roster. Everyone's gimmick is so defined to the letter that it's almost a stereotype of itself.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I saw someone talking about, it might have been Cam actually, talking about the Seahawk, talking about the gimmicks for the Fiend and Alexa Bliss, and it being difficult because they can't be human beings. Like, they could just be Vikings and talk about, like, no, we adopt this because it's the warrior mentality, because God knows that's all over the place in real life. Like, that attitude about approaching combat sport or being in the military or being a police officer. So, like, why don't they just try to incorporate that rather than be literal honest to God Vikings? Like,
they needed a pirate ship. God, if only WrestleMania had come around while they were still fully in action.
Not broken. Yeah.
Poor bastards. They were back by then. But they don't want to bring people back at WrestleMania. You bring them back afterwards to refresh the page, if you will.
It's fine. They did feel normal in their sketch this week. They felt like people who are just a couple of goofy guys who love to wrestle and dress like Vikings.
Right. And that's the thing. There is like a reality to it because they do like to role play as Vikings. Like I seen in the chat, that is Eric in real life. He likes, and his wife too. They're crazy MAGA douchebags, but they love their Vikings.
They're LARPers, Renaissance Fair enthusiasts. Yeah. It was just fine. Yeah. Like, not the MAGA crap. They can go to hell, but like.
Let's move to the women's tag. My only question here is why? Why do we do it? I wanted Lana and Naomi to win as much as anyone else did, which is all of you in the chat. Don't tell me otherwise. But at the end of the day, we knew what this match was going to be. I'm actually surprised that they didn't have Natty and Tamina cross over and try and end the match in a DQ and make it a triple threat.
Yeah, it feels like it's just kind of a time fill at this point. Like, they're like, they're the women's tag champs. They're supposed to be cross-branded, so we should get them on every show. It feels weird because we are literally just running the same few matches in a cycle. Like, it's like, all right, Lana and Naomi this week. Maybe we'll do Dana and Mandy again next week. But it seems that maybe they dropped the bullying thing because they can't have literally every storyline be about bullying.
All women hate each other, Tim. That's what we've been conditioned to believe by Vince.
Yeah, and at least, like one per show is a vain narcissist.
So the argument about one feud at a time or one brand at a time, but then everyone complains about the champions being on one show. How do we fix it, right?
I mean, okay, so I dislike that there are champions per show. I really don't like how many titles the WWE has. So
Fair.
like, I don't mind that they have to move around. It's just like, you can keep it to like one feud. How you would do that well is, you know, try to mix up where the feuds are across shows, but that requires that not all of the other titles have a counterpart, right? So the problem is that they are the one title that is cross-branded. That's the problem. Like, if they only had titles, this wouldn't be an issue, but they've made so they need 2 women's tag titles. Like, they have to, because they've done that to themselves, but they don't have, you know, the teams to do it. So
it's an interesting point. I that's something that I've thought about a little bit in my, you know, in my thought processes. You're right. They have all of these women's titles for SmackDown. They have women's title for Raw. They have the Intercontinental title for SmackDown. They have the US title for Raw, and it goes all the way up the chain as one title per brand.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the women's tag, you're right, are the only tag titles that are fluid, and they shouldn't be. And up until a few weeks ago, they were eligible for NXT as well, but they're not doing that anymore because they have an NXT women's tag title, which can make more sense. But again, we'll get to NXT in a few minutes. But for me, the simple solution, if you're going to keep having a cross-branded women's tag championship, is have the champions on one show for their feud, but when they cross over to another brand, make it every few weeks and have them just take out a job team. Just build something. And then meanwhile, have another team build up on the other show. It's really like, it's just stacking plates, and it's not difficult, but unfortunately they're putting themselves in this position where, you know, Natty and Tamina are suddenly the people, but before that it was Mandy and Dana, but before that it was Lana and Naomi, and then for a minute it was the Riot Squad. They've never made anyone look like a plausible champion other than Nia and Tamina.
Exactly.
Or
no,
Nia,
and I think that would
Nia
be
and Shayna.
Yeah, that would Shania Payne. That would be like that would be a really good way of doing it. And like, again, I just really don't like the brands at all. Like, I hate these blue and red belts. Like, they look so bad to me. Like, it's just, again, whatever. It's content era. Everything has to be, we have to pump out as much stuff as possible. So
right. And I'm seeing in the chat they're talking about more enhancement talent, and I agree with that. But the problem right now, and this is so ridiculous, is that, well, it's not ridiculous, but the reality is we're still in a pandemic. We can't easily have people just show up and work the tapings without having done whatever testing is required beforehand. And again, that's a bit of a cop-out answer. I'll take that.
No, they used to, look, what they used to do, they didn't bring developmental people. They just squashed some locals if they needed to squash. Like,
that's when they could, but then once pandemic hit, they couldn't do that.
Exactly, which is fine. Like, I understand the limitations of like this situation anyway. So like, which is, again, goes into, I've been complaining about, like, it feels like there's only 13 wrestlers on each show. But that's because, like, the reality of the situation is that they can't just bring in all these other people, especially because NXT is like a clusterfuck.
NXT is a clusterfuck. It really is. There's no other way to put it. Yes, it is.
Like,
and they're not going to bring in, you know, NXT talent because they don't want to have people cross pollinate, especially given the way NXT was running. So, you know, for anyone saying they can test the people easily, bring them in, the problem is they don't have Raw booked, you know, until 30 minutes ahead of time. So they just kind of throw people in the way. And that's a creative issue. That is a larger issue at play, is that you cannot bring people in at the last minute, especially when you need them tested in time. It's a much different situation, which is really annoying. And I'm seeing talk about, you know, Santana Garrett and Vanessa Bourne were called up. Yes. And they absolutely need to find a space, but they're not really doing much of that. 13 people on Raw and SmackDown, 75 people on AEW, which is where we're going next. Let's talk about last week's AEW and preview a bit of Blood and Guts, which is tomorrow night. Well, first of all, let's get to the big elephant in the room, and that is Big Brian Cage.
Big Brian Cage, looking
Hangman Adam Page. Tell me, were you shocked
that he won? Yeah, I was, actually. I'm pleased. I'm glad. Like, that good match. Love both of them. I'm really glad that, like, Brian Cage, like, I have actually managed to see him throughout, like, his career, even though, like, I mostly hung around WWE when I was watching, and then I just didn't watch that much. But I did see, like, I saw him in, like, Lucha Underground and stuff, so I was, like, really stoked to see him in AEW doing, like, well. And the guy looks like he hasn't bloody aged in forever.
Yeah, well, you know, you don't need to talk about that.
Well, you know, you do what you got to do.
So Kenny Omega doesn't have an opponent yet for Double or Nothing. Double or
No.
Nothing is at the end of May on the 30th, and it might be a little too early to pivot to Hangman Page.
It is.
That,
yeah, we're not there yet.
yeah, and that's maybe one reason why I wasn't super shocked to see Cage get the win and maybe start building himself for a Cage versus Kenny match. The question becomes, how do you do it? Does it make sense? Can you implement the FTW title that Cage has been carrying around for the last few months? Is there a way to make that part of the conversation? Or
yeah, have Kenny just walk by him in the background while carrying all of his belts, see Cage holding the FTW and then just turn to the old invisible hand and be like, I want that one too.
I love it.
Boom. Get you there. The problem is Taz exists. All of Team Taz exists in this weird tweener heel state. Like I don't see it happening.
Hook is like the ultimate babyface.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, the entire subreddit of Squared Circle is into Hook, so maybe like they could get him there. It wouldn't be hard. AEW's like, you saw what they did with the Bucks. Like, all we need to do is one nice end the inner circle, one nice act, a little act of contrition. Taz being like, sorry, it's hard and it's frustrating sometimes to manage these guys. I just want the best for them. Like, you could get them to be the faces real quick, and then a quick one and done for Bryan and Kenny, and then Kenny gets the FTW, I guess.
Omega and Cage makes sense. I'm seeing the chat. It'd be great fun, and it gives the FTW title more credibility if Omega wants it. I'm a fan of that. Beautiful. I like the idea of doing it. And again, we're still seeing Team Taz versus Christian and Hangman Page. That's still part of the ongoing story because Christian and Taz had a back and forth backstage on AEW TV this past week.
Yep.
So do we do Hangman and Christian before All Out to get the title shot? And then Double or Nothing is maybe Team Taz taking on Christian and Hangman Page. Is that the play?
We're looking at like September for Hangman Kenny, right? Like we're still a ways away. So what I could see them even doing is having a multi-man for it. Have Brian Cage, Christian, Hangman, and Kenny go for the title. Have Kenny retain, and then eventually build to Christian versus Hangman as a number one contender. Like have them do like a really good showing in a multi-man, and then have Hangman versus Kenny, or even Christian versus Kenny and have Christian lose.
So a multi-man match for the title has not been done yet in AEW.
Exactly.
I have a feeling that when they do that, they're going to make it something that's a lot bigger. If anything, you know what I would do? If you really want to screw Kenny, you have a multi-person match, but it's every title he's got. Every time someone's pinned, it's for that title. So it's the Impact. So you put Moose, you put Cage, you put Hangman Page, you put everyone that he won the title from, or everyone that's going for that title. You get a pinfall on Kenny, you get that title back. But if he gets the pinfall, he keeps that title.
That's great. Yeah, and just open it up like competitors from New Japan and from Impact. Like
I love it. He's running the weirdest multi-man gauntlet you can think of. It's not far out of the realm of possibility.
No, just to have very doable.
Kenny, just have Kenny fall down the card.
Yeah, they're doing the
title except for one.
They're doing that New Japan title. Like one of the title match was for Mox, right, on AEW this month.
Yes. So Yuji Nagata is going to be returning to TNT for the first time since like 1998 to be a challenger for the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. Yes.
Good. And then have Kenny beat him and take that title too. I want him. No. I want him to be a boating hazard full of gold, right? Like just like you put him out on the water and it's a real risk because he's gonna sink.
Oh no! Well, I hope we don't sink. Orange Cassidy is another person you can put in there.
Number 2 in the rankings.
Currently, he's perfect, and he just got another win this past week on AEW TV. Beat Penta, and again, Alex Abrahantes, perfect in his role, serving as the
one thing I want to talk about with that. No, he's a nerd now, according to them. They've branded him as a nerd, and I was not getting that. And
wait, who's the nerd?
Abrahantes.
Oh, okay, he is a nerd.
I mean, okay, which is fine, but like. I wasn't getting like this guy's a dork from the last 2 weeks, but clearly that's what they were trying to convey, or they've decided that that's what he was conveying, because the commentary went to great lengths this week to like aggressively call him a nerd. And I was like, okay.
So on Twitch, every single Sunday, they're playing, like a bunch of the AEW folk are playing Among Us. It seems to be their new gimmick, right? I stumbled into Alex Abrahantes' Twitch channel just to see it as they were getting set up. And apparently he's had trouble the last couple of weeks trying to put in their private lobby code, and people have seen it and gotten into their private lobby a few times. So this time he's like, I have it figured out. I've got it. And he's trying to cover the screen. He's like, oh, can't do that because now I can't see you can't see the letters on his Switch and all this stuff. And people are trying to help him through it. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. I'm leaving this channel right now. And Abrahantes is trying to figure out how to save himself. Like, no. Anyway.
Wow. See, that makes me think of Milhouse, where it's like, I'm not a nerd. Nerds are smart.
So Cassidy gets the win. And you know what? Did you see the opening moments of the match?
Yes.
Where they're doing the stupid kicks and the slide. It was so delightful.
The glove bit. Oh, man. Go Penta. I love Penta, man.
So that's Penta's thing, right? He does it all the time with the glove, and then he throws it, and Abrahantes, jumps out of the ring and catches it. Great stuff. Yeah, I love it. What I really wanted to see, more than anything in the world, was for Penta to take that glove off and just slap Orange Cassidy across the face with it. Just a change of pace.
Yeah, that would have been nice too. Maybe next time.
Oh man. So next week, I mentioned this earlier. Penta and Cody never happened. Because I'm trying to transition over from this Penta and Cassidy match, and then there's Penta and Cody that never happened, and instead we're just gonna pivot right now because tomorrow is Cody versus QT Marshall.
Oh, I wish they'd stop doing this. Oh, you're right. I keep forgetting though, which is a good sign, I guess. But they've done this a few times where they start a feud and then just nope out of it.
Yeah, that's what happens when you want to have a kid. Anyway,
whatever.
Cody's back. Yay. And you know what? What did I tell you? No,
you were spot on. And then, he gets on the bus and nothing happens. And then he's just like, nah! I was like, all right, thank you for that figure 4 on a bus. How exciting. A figure 4 on a bus.
And then the ratings reflected it. That's right. I will hear nothing else. The only reason those ratings dropped is because Cody came back to the AEW. That's all.
That's it. Nothing else.
Nothing else. Nothing. I don't want to hear about your president. Not my president, not my country. I don't care. I mean, he's your president. He's just not because I don't live. Anyway, the parlay was pretty good. And Blood and Guts is tomorrow night. So, yeah, LAX, I think, is going to be the team that shows up and not actually Pride and Powerful. I want to see that LAX that we saw in Impact completely demolish people. I want to see them show up. I want to see a more aggressive LAX, Pride and Powerful, whatever you want to call it. Because FTR challenged them to do that. Anything you're looking forward to from the parlay that might go into Blood and Guts tomorrow night?
No, I think they just did a really good job overall. It's just like it feels AEW is such a weird beast to me because like the stuff that their target audience is really into, just like having the Inner Circle come out with a bunch of bikers and like all that stuff just made me really dislike the Inner Circle. Like it's like, I'm not the target market. These guys are clearly faces to someone, but it's not me. Yeah. I don't know. The banter was okay. Jericho was fine. It didn't go on this week, which I appreciated, and I'm excited for the match. Hearing Sammy, I'm excited. Sammy doing that, and them not doing the typical thing where Jericho's like, "Oh, hold on a minute," like they just let it happen. They're like, "No, we're confident." Like you guys.
Sammy's gonna start the match.
Yeah, great. I thought that was a great bit. It's weird that he said he was going to start with the popcorn guy. I don't know what he did to Sammy, but.
Do you think Sammy goes all the way? Do you think that the general discourse seems to be that Jericho's going to save Sammy at the end to have Sammy win the match, go all the way? He'll sacrifice himself. What do you think?
I think that makes sense. I think they're going to put over Sammy hard because I think he's got a ton of potential. Guy's great at what he does. And he'll improve, I think, on the mic. Like, I don't love his mute gimmick, but he's very, very good in the ring, and he's got a look. So,
double cross, shenanigans. What do you think?
Yeah, straight up violence. I think like no weird splits. These factions are both like re-solidified where they are, so I think they're going to stick around for a little while. I think a lot of people are going to get real bloody. I kind of fully expect someone to blade a little too much.
And will it be Jericho? Yes.
Yeah.
Or Hager.
Yeah, one of them's going to go a little too deep.
Or Sean Spears might be the one. And that's the thing. A lot of people are saying, Sean Spears is there to take the L. There's a little part of me that's like, what if Spears actually wins and they're starting to build Sean Spears as that badass?
Yeah, I think they're still going to have to put him, like, he's going to have to do a lot of work in this match. I think this is his, like, look, you got this shot. Yeah. Not that they're, like, AEW is very forgiving with that, but, like, I think they're going to put a lot of work on. I think he'll have a lot of spots in this for some reason. I don't know why, but get the feeling.
Well, I mean, got an hour to show that match.
Yeah, holy hell.
It's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to Blood and Guts. I don't know if I'm looking forward to Kenny and MT Nakazawa, as they're calling him, to take on Mox, Kenny, and Eddie Kingston.
I enjoy that Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler both have a place on Dynamite now.
Yes, the young boy and whatever the hell Nakazawa is supposed to be.
Yeah, just general lackeys. I think that's good. I actually, now that the dust has settled with the Bullet Club whatever, again, that meant nothing to me because I don't have the background. This feels like a pretty solid stable. And again, I really do like that AEW is composed of gangs. Like that makes a lot of sense. It's how it exists in actual combat sports, like nowadays with the UFC. Like they have camps, like they're all together. So works for me.
Do you think we're going to see Eddie Kingston and Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing, or do they need, I mean, if they do it, it kind of needs to have a bigger match to gain extra attention. So what do you see as the Double or Nothing opponent for Kenny? Is it one of these men? Is it Moxley and Kingston again? Is it someone else? Is it Brian Cage? Is it Orange Cassidy? Is it Pac? What do you think?
I think it'll be someone else. I think that, like, the other members, like, I can see Mox and Kingston dropping to mid-card just because, like, Mox had his run. Mox and Kingston both had their feud. So I think that they're trying to get them into a mid-card situation right now, especially because Mox is going to have to take some time off at some point. I can see the rest of that stable doing that. Like, I can see it being a Good Brothers match or a Young Bucks versus Mox and Kingston rather than Kenny. I think Kenny's going to find himself in a situation with somebody else. Maybe even, somebody like Miro who's going to be on a tear soon. So
I'm seeing mention in the chat about the Bucks and Eddie and Mox being a main event in a pay-per-view. And I agree with the idea of doing it. But if we're going to look at the Bucks and SCU as potential challengers, SCU being the challengers, at the same time, they've got this four-way tag match going on Wednesday night. The four-way elimination tag match for the title shot. It's SCU, it's Jurassic Express, it's Varsity Blondes, and the Acclaimed. What if the title shot is the title shot for Double or Nothing, or is it maybe for another night? I didn't really pay attention as much, but if it's for Double or Nothing, then it's SCU all the way. If it's not, you can easily pivot and do Moxley and Kingston versus the Bucks at the pay-per-view instead.
Yeah,
wouldn't mind it. So we'll see. Again, we have so many challenges. We have so many things that need to be firmed up. But again, the pay-per-view is 4 weeks away. So we got to start getting where we're going to. So they're saying it wasn't supposed to be at the pay-per-view. The Bucks or the SCU title shot that's inevitably coming. Or do they swerve us? If it's not at the pay-per-view and it's going to be the Bucks taking on whoever wins that match, you can have one of the other teams win and SCU has to break up. And that's it for SCU. They fall just short of it. Then they can feud. Who knows?
Yep.
Don't hate it.
Yeah.
What I also don't hate is when you guys leave us a like on this video. When you tap the thumbs up, get that subscribe button going and tap that bell for notifications. That's not my singing voice. Chris Stylander taking on Penelope Ford happened this past week. Listen, let's just get right to it. It's fine. The match was good. It was okay.
It was fine.
That's it. Sabian. Kip Sabian's injured again.
Yeah. His arm's broken now.
That was a way to write him off TV because Miro's going to be on TNT this week. He's going to be on Dynamite. He's going to say something. We're going to hear from him. Do you think he's making an announcement about the TNT title, the world title? What's Miro going to do?
I don't know, because I had to remind myself why Miro was angry.
Miro's born angry.
Yeah, I got a little bit lost in this, and it's my bad. It's because I wasn't paying enough attention. But I guess he's mad that Kip got him in that match that he didn't want to do, and then Kip lost that match. So he's mad. Anyway, he wants the title.
Give him a tank and a title. Here we go.
Yeah.
Speaking of the TNT Championship match, we had Darby Allin taking on Preston Vance from Dark Order. Great match. Again, main event Darby. This apparently was his 9th championship defense. They're really building Darby Allin as an actual competitor, and I'm a fan. I mean, I'm not always. We've talked about it on the show, just how much the Darby what did you say? Art house kid?
Edgy film student.
Yes, the edgy film student. Thank you. It doesn't really do it for me, but his wrestling can. And I think that his version of a TNT title reign is looking real good.
Yeah, and he's like, I love that he's not winning every match with the coffin drop. Like, he's not a finisher guy. He's and like, you know, it not be we got to run that back situation all the time. Like, he pinned Preston Vance off of like a wily move, and I don't expect to see him wrestle Preston Vance again anytime soon, which I appreciate because like, that's how he wrestles. That's how he wins. He's wily.
I'm not a big fan of a match ending with someone on their back trying to counter a finisher. And we've done that. We do that in WWE all the time with the Karafuda clutch for Shayna Baszler. Didn't like it. But I like the backstory, having a lot of Brody Lee talk on it, how Ten was given the mask by Brody and it was symbolic when it was ripped. And, you know, does he want to replace it now? Or really how, you know, at the end of the night, the Brody Lee armband that Darby Allin took, it was nice. It was a little nice thing at the end of the match. But then we had Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. They're back. And now we have to watch them take on, I assume, Darby Allin and Sting.
Which is fine. I mean, again, it takes out the bloody TNT title, which is kind of a mess. Like, so if you're going to keep Darby attached to Sting, I think they need to get the belt off him. Because they're limiting themselves otherwise, I think.
Unless you have Ethan Page win the title before, and then they kind of hotshot it. I don't know. I don't know what they want to do. But if you do that, it's got, I assume, another cinematic match of some sorts.
I think as a tag match, I think they could throw Sting in it, have him do a couple moves, you know, just protect him that way.
That was the Street Fight was the same thing.
But that's what I mean. Like, you don't even need to make it cinematic because Darby's so small. They can just bully him through the entirety of the match, right? And then give Sting like a hot tag, have him do something simple on a couple of them, and then maybe even just do the sharpshooter, finish the match.
Yeah, that's fair. On the other hand, if you see someone like Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky pinning Sting, that's a huge win, even though they just gave Scorpio Sky a big gimmick match win.
If they're going to do that, I think they'd give it to Ethan. I don't know that Scorpio is going to get that at this point, but
that's the thing. They do have to build Ethan Page because the whole thing has been Scorpio Sky's build or non-build at this point.
Yeah. Give him his shot.
And finally, we've got Britt Baker in action, presumably squash, but we've seen major angles turn into it last minute. So I don't know what to expect other than Britt Baker. Maybe we're going to, I don't think we'll return to Thunder Rosa, but maybe Sheeta will come out. Because they did this before. Abaddon was in action. Sheeta came out, and that was the biting angle.
Yeah.
So we've been there before with the women's division where it suddenly becomes a pre-match or pre-build.
Yeah, I'm curious. Could be either. But I'm betting squash.
We got to start running to the exits because we got 10 minutes before NXT starts. So we won't talk about SmackDown, but maybe we can just talk real quickly about Bye Bye Bryan.
Oh, such a good match.
That new Roman theme.
Oh, such a good theme.
Do you know it sounds like the HBO show Succession? It sounds like the main theme from
Succession, but if it's good, I'll check it out.
Go find the theme to Succession on HBO and listen to it, and then listen to Roman's theme, and you might see a few things. We need more Baroque motifs in professional wrestling.
I didn't appreciate that there are parts that sound like a harpsichord is playing. Not a big harpsichord fan, but
why not?
Loathsome instrument.
Wonderful. The match, though, is not loathsome at all. Quite good, frankly.
No, like big, like that was a big night feel, right? Like that SmackDown felt like good show, good showery, because like Roman coming out with his new entrance music and winning clean felt like dawn of a new era type things. Like it felt good, very good.
And like you said, it built throughout the night, and it was good. When you have a good thread that goes through your entire evening's show, that's usually setting up for a great end of the night. And that's what we got, because Cesaro tried to save Bryan at the end, and then we saw that we can really build Roman and Cesaro until Edge shows up.
No.
Hopefully not.
No Edge.
But yeah, the entire Bryan match was just him targeting Roman's arm, and I was a big fan of that, his right arm. And then he loses to the left arm because Roman's ambidextrous and a god. I can't say no to that. I think it was very well played.
It was a great match. Like, great match, great build, awesome stuff. Felt important because it was. Best of luck, Bryan, in your future endeavors.
See you on NXT, God, I hope. But realistically, probably Raw. There are other things from SmackDown. Unfortunately, we won't get there this week because we don't have a lot of time left on tonight's episode. However, we're looking forward to talking about more SmackDown real soon, and we'll get to that down the road. Let's talk about NXT. We got a Balls Count Anywhere match. We got Leon Ruff taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott. I'm expecting a walk and brawl, Tim.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Like there's a couple matches this week that they announced last week that I was just like, oh damn, this is gonna be a week.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's time for Swerve to make his move. This is it. Time to be big. Time to be the man who wins his feud and moves on and hopefully starts taking more of a place in NXT instead of just showing up once in a few weeks.
It's tough. Like, it's just tough to fit into all that for some reason. But, you know, I don't know. It's hard to write this stuff.
It is. There's a lot of story going on. I'm just glad that Ruff is no longer just being the underdog who, you know, wins. No,
he's a legitimate competitor. He's there, he'll have other feuds and it'll be fine. Like he's no longer just this guy. He's so small. He's not like one of those like weird hope porn things that WWE did back like what was the like Zach Gowen and
Zach Gowen.
Like it felt so weird and proppy, like the way they used to do these things. So it's good to see Leon transition into just being a person.
With the transition came Mercedes Martinez and Dakota Kai opening up last week's NXT. Good match until we had a DQ finish. Didn't like it. Did not like it. I don't know who's what designation on this. I don't know if Mercedes Martinez is a good guy. I don't know if we have a good girl or good whatever. You know what I mean. I don't know who's good. I don't know who's bad because Raquel Gonzalez basically broke up the match. I don't get it. But
yeah, I mean, that just shows, like, I don't know. It makes me think that, like, Raquel's just dumb or a brute. Like, that's what they told me with that story, right? Because, like, she couldn't just keep her emotions in check. Like, for a match that Dakota wasn't, like, losing. So, I don't know.
I mean, that can play up down the line when Dakota Kai inevitably turns on Raquel Gonzalez, which is what everyone's expecting.
I know. It just feels like they're always doing this so quickly. Like, it's like, can you just let it breathe for a minute? Like,
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
But you can see the machinations, you know? That's my gripe about it. Like, it's like, if you can do it extraordinarily subtly, fine. But if you're going to be, like, so nail on the head, like, all the time with this stuff, like...
We're not always right.
Yeah.
Our machinations are sometimes way off.
Thank God for that. If all of my fears came true, I don't know how I could keep watching this.
Speaking of which, can we stop talking about the Diamond Mine as being either Tessa Blanchard or Parker Bordeaux?
Do people... Is Tessa Blanchard, like, cool with everyone? Like, why is she...
No. She said some extremely racist and awful things. And she doubled down on it.
I don't give a shit, and I doubt anyone wants to work with her after what she did. Like, why does everybody care?
I don't understand. People seem to think that she has a place in AEW because her dad's there, but realistically, AEW was given a hard no to that.
Who's her dad?
Tully Blanchard.
Oh, it's Tully Blanchard.
It's Tully's daughter.
Sense.
Yes.
Oh, I don't care.
And it's not going to be Parker because Parker is brand new. He is a child. Just because he shows up and posts a ton of shit on social media and follows you doesn't mean he's ready for WWE. He's not going to touch a ring for at least another year. But what the Diamond Mine might be is Ezra Judge, Ivy Rose, the formerly Emily Anzulis, Zion Quinn, who used to be Daniel Vidot, and others who have MMA gimmicks in NXT. That's what the Diamond Mine might be.
So that sounds great. I love that name. It sounds like a good faction, and it sounds like a fight gym. Right? When you're thinking of stuff like American Top Teams, stuff like that, like the Diamond Mine sounds like a fight gym. And that's a great gimmick, great faction. Like, it's like who are those hype dorks? Like the cheer squad. What?
I thought you were going to say the hype bros. The Spirit Squad.
The Spirit Squad. It's like that, but not awful.
Right.
So, like, if it's just are all these people like absolutely jacked? Like, just some yoked sons of bitches?
The ones that I'm seeing and assuming are going to be the ones, yes.
Beautiful. Do it up. I am excited for that. What NXT could use is like a couple larger group feuds rather than just like the 2 to 3 that they're at right now.
Yeah, and it looks like we might be getting that because we also get the return of Finn Balor. Took a vacation, shook it off.
That's nice.
Probably wants his title back now.
I mean,
he's all chill.
I
want him to show up. I want Finn Balor to show up in a Hawaiian shirt.
With some flip-flops and a straw hat, maybe a little coconut martini.
Exactly. Really go against Cool Kyle's demeanor and just be like,
oh no,
I had a great time. Now I want my title back.
You know what? Have Cool Kyle have Finn Balor doing his chill bro thing, and then bring back Carlito.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. But speaking of yoked, man, bring back Carlito.
So Finn Balor's going to want his title back. Cool Kyle wants the title back, or wants a title. Pete Dunne wants a shot at the title. Adam Cole, who returned last week, or at least had a sit down with
great interview.
Arash Markazi. Yes,
loved it.
Very good. I guess we can see a 4-way in the future, maybe with Karrion Kross, or 4-way to get number 1 contendership. 5-way if you want to do it just straight for the title with Karrion Kross.
Do it. 5-way match. Karrion Kross. Give me all the multi-man matches. Every promotion, step up right now. Impact's ahead of you.
We've also got the grizzled young veterans taking on Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher.
Toothless Timmy, thank you.
Toothless Timmy. Title implications in the match. We assume the winner is closer to MSK in a couple of weeks. So what do you think? GYV or Thatcher and Ciampa?
GYV.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would prefer Thatcher Ciampa because I'm bigger Ciampa stan. I expect GYV to win.
Meanwhile, last week we had the 6-man tag match with Kushida and MSK teaming up to take on Legado del Fantasma.
Beautiful end to the show.
Very much a fan of our Stantasma family, taking those titles and holding them above their heads to cement their legacy that I hope they'll get back, but probably not. Kushida and Escobar are going to have a wonderful blow-off match for that Cruiserweight title. And when Kushida wins, it'll cement his victory as the Cruiserweight champion. Let's face it.
Yeah.
And then finally, in what I assume will be the main event, it's a street fight for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. We're going to get Shotzi and Ember taking on the Ways, Indy Hartwell, and Candice LeRae. I mean, listen, what are we going to do? Who's going to get involved? I said
Dexter Loomis. Dexter Loomis will be there.
I said walk and brawl earlier for Swerve and Ruff because I feel like the toys will come out for the street fight.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah might get involved, or at least try to get involved, because of last week's disqualification non-starter thing that they had.
Yeah, and the weird title celebration Robert Stonebrand had overall. So
it'll be a comedy spot more than anything.
Maybe Mercedes even shows up, rough some people up.
Ooh, I'm into it. Let's have everyone come out and just start.
I could see it degraded into like a bunch of different people show up. But what do you think they're going to do with Grimes this week?
Oh my God. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
So, okay. First of all, I got to pat myself on the back. He comes into the watch store and immediately in the background, I'm like, there's a guy with his newspaper up to his face, not showing it. I'm like, that's Ted DiBiase.
Yeah,
that's 100%. Ted DiBiase. Nobody could tell me otherwise. And so they don't show him until, an hour later when they go back to the watch store and he shows up and it's Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase. Dude, come on. How amazing was the promo and how amazing is Cameron Grimes?
It was great. He's so good. I love that he feels like a guy who's going to be able to transition between like roles and gimmicks throughout his career very, very well. Like whatever they need him to do at the time, he will find a way to make it work. And I'm excited. He's going to have a good career.
The only thing that I don't want to see out of Cameron Grimes, and unfortunately it might become inevitable because it is WWE, is the idea that he is a comedy worker forever and ever and nothing can change if he goes over to Raw or SmackDown. That Vince sees him as comedy guy and just slaps that label on him and says he'll never go anywhere.
The thing is, like, while I fear that might be the case for someone like Otis, he's going to be relegated to like the Santino Marella type of universe. Because Otis got his shot doing the worm, right? Like,
right.
And he's not Vince's preferred physique, nor is Cameron Grimes, but Cameron Grimes, I would say, is a bit more versatile in the ring. Like him doing that, like that rat fink kind of finish with the chest stomp is like just too perfect for him. Like I think he's got he can do a lot. Like they can do a lot with him both in ring and out. Whereas other people like Otis, I think they're more limited.
Well, y'all ain't limited to like this video, leave us a comment, tap that subscribe button, and hit that bell. Get your notifications. That was my Cameron Grimes, because you know what? We're out of time. Tim, where can the kids find you on the internet?
Kids can find me at Tim Stone P, TIMBSTONEP on Twitter. Said it fast because NXT is starting.
Well, I am at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. Find us at Tim and Joel Pod. I'll be on Twitch after NXT. We'll talk wrestling. I'll play some Mario Maker 2. We'll do the thing. All right, until then, ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we'll see you next week. Cheers.